Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 751. My worthiness is all my doubt. Now here we'll have another poem about poetry, possibly, although when published in 1896 in the New England Quarterly of 1947 as well, this poem was quickly, not so easily interpreted. Published in 1896, it was actually called Love's Humility. Now, in many ways, we're back to Emily deciding about her life as poet. It will as well take us, this study, back to poem 508. You guys will maybe remember when we did this one. I'm seated. I've stopped being theirs. The name they dropped upon my face with water in the country church is finished using now, and they can put it up with my dolls, my childhood, the string of spools. I've finished threading too. Baptized before, in this poem, by the way, we'll get to sacrament, without the choice, but this time consciously of grace unto supremest name, called to my full, the crescent dropped, existence whole arc filled up with one small diadem. My second rank too small the first, crowned, crowning on my father's breast, a half unconscious queen, but this time adequate, erect, with will to choose or to reject, and I choose just a crown. You'll remember when we did 738, you said that I was great one day, then great it be, if that please thee, or small, or any size at all, nay, I'm the size suit thee, tall like the stag would that, or lower like the wren, or other heights of other ones I've seen. Tell which, it's dull to guess, and I must be rhinoceros or mouse, at once for thee, or say, if queen it be, or page please thee, I'm that, or not, or other thing, if other thing there be, with just this stipulus, I suit thee. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily's our playlist. I'm hoping you worked through our set of introductory comments, as well as the preceding 750 poems. We just finished with 750, Growth of Man. Now, once again, Emily is wrestling with her talents. And I think that she's following in the vein of the great John Milton. There was one story that plagued John Milton all his life from the King James Bible that Emily knew so well. I think this story also seems to be this word worthiness. It comes from the Matthew account, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. We'll begin here. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that received 2, he also gained another 2. But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. By the way, just to point out, as we have said in our study on Milton, this is the first time in the English language that the word talent and the word ability and the word money are all conjoined. It isn't until this story that we will use in the English language the word talent to mean ability. And very quickly you can understand why Emily will look at a story like this and be challenged, understanding that she does have some talent, if you will. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he had received 5 talents, came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I've gained besides them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful. Think about the word worthy in this poem. Servant, thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I've gained 2 other talents beside them. And the Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchequers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Well, few stories in the biblical corpus create the level of concern for anyone who might imagine that they were born with talent. That is to say, if you have it, you better use it, or there will be some reckoning coming in the future. This may be a poem about reckoning. Take a look. My worthiness is all my doubt, his merit all my fear, contrasting which my quality do lowlier appear, lest I should insufficient prove for his beloved need, the chiefest apprehension upon my thronging mind. 'Tis true that deity to stoop inherently inclined, for nothing higher than itself can rest upon. So I, the undivine abode of his elect content, conform my soul as 'twere a church unto her sacrament. Now, it is interesting that the poem ends with the word sacrament, and it is true and obvious that Emily is playing around with religious tropes here, no doubt, as she is asking, am I worthy? Because she says sometimes my worthiness is all my doubt. Now, is she talking about worthiness as poet? Is she talking about worthiness as person? In some ways, we're back to our to earlier studies. We're familiar with this at times, her inability to be certain that what she is doing is 100%. She says, my worthiness is all my doubt, his merit all my fear. Now, some have seen this as being maybe referencing God. Some have seen this as, Emily, once again, back to those master poems as we talked about them earlier. There is somebody in her life that she calls master, who is some way passing judgment on her product, on her poetic product, and maybe she's worried that she won't measure up. She says, I have this fear that all of my fear is rooted here. By the way, when we get to poem 772, Emily will say, all is the price of all. Contrasting which, my quality do lowlier appear. In other words, the question is, am I worthy? Is what I'm producing legit, if you will? Lest I should insufficient prove. I think we are back to that Matthew 25 test that we were playing with a few moments ago. For his beloved need. Now, is she talking about God? Is she talking about the muse? It's hard to know here. The chiefest, notice capitalized. Apprehension, notice capitalized. Upon my thronging mind. This is the only time in all of Emily's poetry she uses the word thronging. That is to say, I'm constantly wondering, am I doing a good enough job here? Is it sufficient? The chiefest apprehension. 'Tis true, dash, that deity to stoop inherently inclined, for nothing higher than itself can rest upon. It is interesting language. In other words, she asks, will I be one of deity's elect? Am I one of the greats? All, it seems, artists always play with this question in their mind of how good am I? So she says finally, I, the undivine, notice we go from deity to the undivine, abode of his elect content. She'll only use the word elect one time, guys, in all her poetry, and it's here. I think the word content is a fascinating word, because this may be the word of the poem. In other words, am I content with what I'm doing? Am I content with what I've produced? Conform my soul. We'll get to soul again in 753. You'll remember, we've already said, she uses this word soul in 67 of her poems. It applies or appears in 141 of her times, 141 times in her poetry. Conform my soul, dash, and then it's an interesting simile to finish, as 'twere a church unto her sacrament. Now, we've already seen sacrament 10 times in poetry. We'll see it again in 812 when we get there. And she'll say it this way: a light exists in spring, not present on the year, and any other period when March is scarcely here. A color stands abroad on solitary fields that science cannot overtake, but human nature feels. It waits upon the lawn, it shows the furthest tree upon the furthest slope. You know, it almost speaks to you. Then, as horizons step or noons report away, without the formula of sound it passes and we stay, a quality of loss affecting our content, as trade had suddenly encroached upon a sacrament. Again, notice the use of the word content as well in that poem. Now, what is it that Emily, let's now work through the poem at level 2A. What is it that Emily is arguing here? I think her argument is that artists all long to understand the source of their inspiration and to know that they are in fact using the talent that they have. And that relationship for Emily is sacred, ergo sacrament. At 2B, well, obviously the question is, who is the his of the poem? Are we talking about someone she's sharing this poetry with? Or is she talking about God himself? And at 3A, well, we've got all kinds of other poems about poetry, as we even started with 508. I think, though, Milton is standing behind much of this. That is to say, Milton's Sonnet 7 and 19, we've given full lectures at learnstrong.net. What is it? How does that sonnet end? Sonnet 19. They also serve who only stand and wait when I consider how my light is spent. That is to say, I think Milton, like Emily, or maybe we should say Emily like Milton, struggled with the idea, I have talent. Am I using it? Am I worthy? Am I worthy of the talent that I have as an artist? Finally, to own a poem like this at 3B, when was a time that you doubted yourself? You knew you had talent, but to what degree was that talent being fully expressed and used? And to what degree did you feel, maybe I'm not worthy? Thank you.